There was once a man named Elias, a humble carpenter who lived in a small village surrounded by olive groves and stony hills. He wasn't a wealthy man, nor did he chase recognition. He believed that honest work, quiet prayer, and helping others was enough. Every morning, before the first light touched the trees, Elias would kneel by his window and pray, "Lord, guide my steps today, and let me be a blessing to someone." He never asked for wealth, never asked for ease, just guidance. One morning, as he opened his shop, he noticed an elderly woman sitting near the well, struggling to lift a water jug. People passed her by, too busy, too distracted. Elias paused, set down his tools, and walked over. "May I help you, ma'am?" he asked kindly. The woman smiled, her eyes soft. "You're the first to notice." He carried the water back to her small home, and, noticing her door hanging loose on its hinges, offered to repair it. "No charge," he said, "just doing what I can." That single act set off a chain of events he never could have imagined. The next day, a man in fine clothes came to his shop. Elias had never seen him before. "You helped my mother yesterday," the man said. "She spoke of your kindness." Elias nodded, brushing sawdust from his hands. "It was nothing. I own several properties outside the village," the man continued. "They need repairs. Doors, furniture, roofing, things you seem to know well. Would you take the work?" Elias blinked. "All of them." The man smiled. "All of them. And I pay fairly." It was the biggest opportunity Elias had ever received. He hesitated, not because he doubted, but because it felt so sudden. He remembered his morning prayer. "Guide my steps." This, he realized, was a step. Within weeks, Elias had more work than he could handle. He hired 2 young apprentices from the village. Men who had been jobless now had a trade, purpose, and daily bread. And it didn't stop there. One day, while repairing a large oak door on a client's estate, Elias found a small, crumpled satchel wedged in the frame, tucked away, as if forgotten. Inside were several silver coins and a note. "If you found this, it means you were fixing what others ignored. This is yours. Use it well." He brought the satchel to the estate owner, who shook his head. "I've never seen that," the man said. "But if it was hidden in the door you fixed, perhaps it was meant for you." Elias hesitated. "It doesn't feel right." But the owner insisted. "Sometimes, God hides gifts in the places we least expect, and reveals them when we obey without asking why." From that day forward, Elias's name became known, not for his skill, but for his integrity. People said, "If Elias built it, it will stand." And yet, he remained the same. Humble, quiet. Each morning, the same prayer, "Guide my steps. Let me be a blessing." One afternoon, after completing a small table for a widow on the outskirts of the village, Elias sat to rest under a tree. The woman brought him bread and honey as thanks. "People say you're lucky," she said. Elias smiled. "It's not luck. It's listening." "Listening to what?" she asked. "To the whisper that tells you to stop, to notice, to care. Even when you're in a hurry. Even when it costs you time. God answers quicker than we think, just not always in the way we expect." She nodded thoughtfully. Message to the listener. Sometimes, we expect God's blessings to arrive only after long trials, painful waiting, or dramatic acts of faith. We imagine that breakthrough only comes after we've endured storms and deserts. But what if God is ready to respond the very moment we act in kindness? What if the prayer you whisper in the quiet morning is already shaping the open doors waiting just ahead? Elias didn't move mountains. He didn't build temples or lead crowds. He simply responded, gently, humbly, to someone in need. And God, in return, moved quickly, clearly, and powerfully. A stranger offered unexpected work. A forgotten satchel held provision. His name became trusted, and his table never lacked bread again. Blessings came not because he chased them, but because he listened and acted. So if today you feel overlooked, if your kindness goes unseen, if your faith feels small or routine, remember Elias. Remember that God often works through the simple yes. You don't have to pass some great test. Sometimes, the blessing is already waiting, just on the other side of a quiet moment of obedience. Say yes, even when no one sees. Help, even when it's inconvenient. Pray, even when it's quiet. Because the God who sees in secret knows how to reward in ways you never expected. And his timing is often immediate.